Unitedverse, everybody. I am your host, Sean, and we are back to react to the match. What a semifinal first leg that was. I don't think anybody predicted that. I definitely did not predict that. I think called it, 1-all in the match preview. But I did say in that preview that we needed to make a statement, and we definitely made a statement. United put 3 past Athletic Club Bilbao to make that second leg at home. Not to be too straightforward, but to make it a comfortable second leg, right? To be honest, though, again, who predicted that? I definitely didn't think we'd win, but I definitely would never have predicted 3-0. So I guess I just need to remind myself that in Europe, United is a different team altogether. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde right now. Anybody booking their flights for Bilbao in a couple weeks? Just kidding. They're sold out. I checked. I did look last night. They're literally sold out unless you want to spend like $3,000. Maybe I could write it off somehow, figure it out. But I'm buzzing. I know you guys are buzzing too. We're going to talk about the match. We're going to go through a bit of the news as always, because there's a ton of news to go through. So it's going to be a good sized stream this morning. I hope you guys put on your underwear. We are going to get stuck in. Let's see who's jumping in the chat. Danny B in the house. Good to see you, my Irish brother from another mother. I am Irish, by the way. I can say that. We can say it. You can't. But big up, Danny. Hope you're doing well, man. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Rob, big up, Rob. It's a good day, United fans. Hit those like, subscribe buttons. I do appreciate that. Big up, Rob. Yes, please do hit the like button. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. Please check memberships to learn how you can get more involved. Please, please, please go check out the GoGoalShop if you want $5 off your order. And if you are ever in the mood to look at some different United gear, want to vary up your United swag, go check out the UV store. You can get something like this, that 9.5 shirt that I'm rocking right now. This looks fire in person. As you can see, it says crank it up to 9.5. A little play on words, but y'all go check that out at some point. Danny says they sell the vignette out here. Rob, you guys still going on about ice cream? I did, honest to God, celebrate last night on the way home. I swung by downtown Northville to Brown Dog Creamery and got myself some ice cream. That place has excellent. My wife doesn't appreciate it, but then again, that's her problem, not mine, because I'm just going to eat hers now because she didn't appreciate it. But it is what it is. By the way, real quick sidebar here. I just discovered hate watch streams by rival fans. Have you guys seen this shit? Hate watch, hate alongs, or whatever they're called. Have you guys seen that? I cannot think. It's just so weird to me, the obsession that rivals have, because I don't see them for other teams. I saw a bunch of them pop up yesterday, and I was like, is this really a thing? It says I knew a guy who used to watch bad movies on purpose with his friends just to kind of basically like a mystery science theater kind of situation. And I was like, I can't think of a worse way to waste my time. I don't really watch a lot of other football unless it's at least not other Premier League football. I'll watch football. If you guys know, I watch other leagues like the Belgian league. I did watch Club Brugge the other day, and they were excellent against Genk. But yeah, I just don't get. That's so weird to me to spend 2 hours of your time watching it and obsessing over it, and like it's so strange to me. Dana says I like it going to get 1 or 2. You guys are still funny. Dana says KG does them normally when Arsenal play. Well, KG has the that other stuff going on with the what are they called? The best of rivals or best of enemies or something. So he's kind of hanging out with like Expressions and Robbie all the time. So I get it. It's kind of part of the thing. I don't get certain like people like Hassam or like Lee Gunner or Kopish or anything. Like I don't get it. I don't know why people do that, but it is what it is. So Danny says, yeah, United view. Yeah, it's just weird. I mean, we did that Champions League watch along when City played Real Madrid, I think. But that was more of a Real Madrid thing than a City thing. And it wasn't really like a hate watch, right? It was just something to do, really. So that was probably the only time you're ever going to see me do a watch along for something that's not United. So it's interesting. But I didn't know if you guys have seen it. I just discovered it. I thought it was very, very strange. A bit cringe, if I got to be honest. But anyway, again, hit that like button, subscribe. Let's dive into the news, starting with, have you guys seen what Ahmad and Andre Onana posted last night. So I'm gonna put this out on Instagram, and I think that's a Snapchat thing from Andre Onana. Oh, it's so funny. That's so great. Harry Donna over here. I'm a big fan of that dude. How good was Harry Maguire last night? That cross for that Casemiro goal, that little flick from Ugarte too, was an absolute dude. The way he dropped the shoulder and just send that defender off to the that was absolutely must. I loved it. I was doing one of these in the pub last night with Dylan. I did hang out with Dylan. Big up Dylan too for stopping by and hanging out and watching that. But that was freaking hilarious. Oh man, that's freaking great. Harry Maldini, there it is. There he goes. Who did what's his face? Saeed used to call him Harry Beckenbauer. Dude, he was absolute beast mode last night. Danny says never say anything bad about him. Harry Maguire is stepping up this season. I've told you guys before, like I get people have got different, priorities, a hierarchy of qualities they want from center backs. I get that in a certain system too, Harry Maguire doesn't quite fit, right? He's not the quickest. But I've said many times, you don't have to be the quickest. And this is why over and over again, when we talk about transfer targets and things, I look at the system that we play. In this system, yes, Maguire is not the quickest. He's not going to make those recovery runs. Like he would be absolute dog shit in like Postecoglou's system, right? But sitting in there, just clearing the danger, picking those long passes, and then like he's done recently in Europe, just sitting up there and getting involved and causing problems. I mean, he could do a job, and I'm not gonna freaking Rich never in doubt, easy win. I go off what I've seen from us, and again, I hold my hands up. I got to remind myself that in Europe, it's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde in Europe. But big up, Rich. Good to see you, man. I don't think anybody predicted 3-0, but. And happy big birthday to David Beckham, by the way, who turns 50 today. The guy does not look a day above 40, to be honest with you. But big up, Bex. Happy birthday. One of the most underrated footballers, like not just United, but just of all time, in my opinion. Not because people said he was bad. I don't think anyone's saying Beckham was bad, but I think he's underrated because people focus so much on the Beckham brand and like the personality and the whole Britpop of the mid-90s that they forget sometimes, in my opinion, just how good Bex was. Like the guy was quick. He could score 2 feet. He could put that ball anywhere you wanted to on a dime, like at the drop of a hat. Like it was precision from Bex. Obviously, I think he was robbed of that Ballon d'Or in 99, but anyway, it is what it is. But happy birthday, Bex. Big up. Danny says, I was happy to see Bodo got one back. Yeah, I was hoping that they would get a second because that would at least maybe give me a little hope. But they got to take it back home. And hopefully we can, Spurs can get a little jet lag and drop a couple goals. But I would love to see Bodo come back. I fancy our chances more against Bodo than Spurs, but we're going to talk about that when we cross that bridge. Big up, Sanjay. Hello, everyone. Just a quick check-in from the office. We'll check on the stream later. Take care. Big up, Sanjay, man. Appreciate you. Danny says, I am greedy to say we should win 5-6. No, we should definitely be just pumping these guys at home next week. Like, there's no excuse not to. I'm probably going to see a little bit of a rotation. I'd like to start strong in the second leg, put out a strong side and then get a couple goals, and then we can see what we got to do. But appreciate that. Rob says, it was an unbelievable night. The players put in an epic performance. Bilbao started fast, but we coped and then turned the game on its head. Advantage United. Yeah, we did. We're gonna react to it. I gotta get through all the news first because there's a ton of news to get to. I'm sure you guys have already been listening and watching and talking about it on other channels, but I haven't had a chance to get your guys' thoughts and share mine. So we're gonna do that. But happy birthday, Bex, the big 5-0 today. Epic player, one of the greatest players of all time, personally. But so real quick before we dive into the big stuff, don't know if you saw it, but we did get some news regarding United's preseason action and a reunion with a player that many United fans have been crying out for to bring back to the club. So United are going to finish our preseason tour at Old Trafford this summer, and that's going to conclude with a friendly against Fiorentina and a certain Spanish shot stopper in David De Gea. Obviously, I think a lot of people, it's recency bias when it comes to Onana's recent performances and stuff. I think it's one of those any port in a storm mentalities right now. And I'm not saying De Gea is bad. I'm not saying Onana's good, but we have to I think the revisionism with a lot of this stuff is getting a little out of hand. He's definitely a better shot stopper than Onana, De Gea, but different leagues, different teams, it is what it is. But that friendly is going to take place August 9th. I'm sure Big Dave will get a thunderous reception on his return to Old Trafford. He was here for such a long time, had a rocky start, but arguably the best shot stopper in football in those 2015, 2016, 2017 eras. Obviously ended his career at United with a Golden Glove as well. So big up, Dave. Dennis says De Gea needed to go regardless of what happened with Onana. Yeah, I think again, it comes down to system. De Gea is definitely one of those old school shot stoppers, not really good with the ball on his feet, never really been super comfortable and formidable in his box, getting his area. That is what it is. But Ten Hag was moving to a different system, building out from the back, needed a keeper who's more comfortable on the ball. That's all it was. People who are out here trying to say, like, we got rid of him, like, for this and that. Like, we got rid of him because he was going to be on crazy, crazy wages. He didn't really suit the system. And, yeah, if you look at the numbers, his percentiles, his stats, they were on the decline. It just is what it is. And so it was time just to move on. That's not a diss to De Gea. I think people are too quick to turn this into a black or white argument. It doesn't have to go that route. Both two things can be true. De Gea can still be a decent goalkeeper, and Onana could be better suited to Ten Hag's system. Both can be true. So, but yeah, I appreciate the thoughts there. So big news, if you guys saw the thumbnail, is a report coming from French outlet Le Forme, who claim that Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to sell OGC Nice to finance a full takeover of Manchester United. mufc MPB have shared this as well. I think the United stand has discussed it as well. Remember, too, that Sir Jim said in an interview not that long ago, he said, quote, "I don't particularly enjoy going to watch Nice because there are some good players, but the level of football is not high enough for me to get excited." I mean, it's French. It's the French league. I mean, what were you expecting? it's PSG, and maybe like once every decade, it's someone like a Lille or a Monaco or something. That's pretty much it. It's a farmers league. No one cares about it. It's literally like, in my opinion, like a step above the Saudi league. It just is what it is. So L'Informe reports that Sir Jim has commissioned global financial advisory and asset management firm Lazard to evaluate various options, including the total or partial sale of Nice, which he acquired in 2019 for around 100 million euros. Now, we've spoken about this on the channel before. I said it several months ago that I wanted Sir Jim to sell Nice. Like, I even laid out the numbers. He paid 100 mil for it. He put in about 250 mil of his, or 100 mil of his own money into the club. He could absolutely sell it for almost twice that much, and he'd make bank on it, and he wouldn't have to worry about it. L'Informe reports that potential buyers include the Saudi Public Investment Fund, which they remind us already own Newcastle, and they want apparently reportedly interested in Nice. So it's interesting stuff. What do you guys think about that? So apparently he might be looking for a price of around 250 million euros. Now, what complicates this deal are a couple things. There's a whole issue right now regarding the broadcast rights for Ligue 1. So DAZN, a streaming service, they signed a deal with Ligue 1 not that long ago, a 5-year deal for domestic broadcast rights, but they're already looking to end that contract after just one season. Now, it's interesting. They paid a lot of money. It's a deal worth about 400 million euros. But the problem is that DAZN has struggled to get new subscribers. They tried to get, I think it was like 1.5 million new subscribers with this deal, and they've only gotten like a third of that. And now they're going to have to pay about 100 million euros to exit the deal early. And then they've got 2 other installments worth about 140 million that they've also got to pay as well as a cost to basically end this deal. Again, kind of like the Nice thing, I don't know what they thought this many people, 1.5 million new subscribers were going to try to watch the French league. Like, no one wants to pay to watch a farmers league. It's not that difficult. Let's see. Dana says, Glazers aren't selling, Sean. Too much real estate to be made with the new stadium. Yeah. Now, that's the other complication. So again, the report it's been a little contradicted by Nice's president, Jean-Pierre Rivière. So in an interview with L'Equipe, and this is in response to the article in L'Informe, Rivera stated, quote, unequivocally that the club is not for sale and emphasized that the owners remain committed to their investment in Nice. He added that if a club were for sale, it would not be something to hide either, as it's not like shameful to put a club up for sale. So again, we've got conflicting reports here. One coming from a French outlet. We got a conflicting report coming from the president of OGC Nice himself. It's interesting. It's interesting stuff. We're getting a lot of reports. I've said many times I do think he needs to sell the Nice. I think that there are a lot of reasons for that. Not only would he get a hefty profit, right? I mean, you're going to be able to make money off that. Some of which he could put towards United too, as its new owner. It would send a really good faith message. But selling another club, I think keep Lausanne because we could use that for loans and whatnot and development. But selling Nice and focusing solely on United sends a message of intent to United fans that his main focus is United, which I think goes a long way towards buying maybe a little bit of good faith personally. Big up, Lionheart says, what a game. It was definitely a game. Big up, man. Hope you're doing well this morning or this afternoon, wherever you happen to be. Kai, welcome back, Kai. Good to see you again, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Just checking my messages here. Sorry. Let's see. Danny says DAZN will be strictly boxing combat sports app within a year or two. I'd say, yeah, I don't know much about DAZN. Like I just said, there's a complication right now with the league on broadcast rights. They'd signed that 5-year deal. They don't want to extend it now after just one season. They have to pay money to get out of it. They were hoping to get 1.5 million subscribers with the new deal for League On. They got a third of that. So it is what it is. So a lot of uncertainty right now in the French league with a lot of that going. It was similar to the Serie A a couple years ago before Paramount stepped in as well, right? There were a lot of stuff going on. Dead zone, I call Sean nice. Big up. Rob says, back in February, a division of Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund has invested a reported $1 billion in London-based media giant DAZN. Interesting. Well, we know that they're getting into the boxing, they're getting into like the golf and whatnot. Maybe that's it. Interesting stuff. I don't get as involved in kind of the politics and all that from other countries. Being American, it sounds a little weird that I take an interest when it relates to United, right? But that's just what it is. I don't think anybody has the time or the energy to be 100% fluent in every single country's political climate at any given time. So if that is your thing, more big up to you. I just don't have all that time in my day. I got to prioritize things as I see fit, but it is interesting stuff. Two conflicting reports. L'Inform, the French outlet, saying that there's an interest in selling the club by Jim and that the Saudi Public Investment Fund could be interested. OGC Nice's president, Jean-Pierre Rivière, kind of contradicting that claim, saying that it's not for sale. So we'll see what happens when the chips fall, right? So Danny says they have taken over and saved boxing, Saudi. Interesting stuff. Lionheart says, I watch DAZN now and then, but I've never subscribed to it. I've seen it pop up here and there. I really didn't know it was a streaming service. How many streaming services do we need for sports and stuff? I mean, we've got Fubo, we've got all the Paramounts, the Peacocks, HBO, all that stuff. I mean, I guess it's hard to find one. I mean, it's almost like maybe somebody at some point is going to take a lot of these separate little streaming services and kind of put them together in packages that you can choose from. Maybe pay a little extra monthly to get extra ones, almost like cable companies used to do. Interesting stuff, right? Moving on to some structural news. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet done so, guys. So Lori Whitwell reports that Christopher Vivell is now officially a permanent figure at United after the club basically upgraded his interim status. Remember, we spoke about that last month, that was probably going to be happening. It's now been confirmed by Lori Whitwell. Not only that, Whitwell adds that Sam Arith, the head of performance that we hired not too long ago, his position is also expected to be made permanent as well. So improving that area of recruitment, that area of just sports science, performance, that's the way things are going. Mental health, nutrition, it was like nutrition and stuff. And like we've got to be current. We've got to stay current with that kind of stuff. We have to not only fight to get current with our rivals, we have to go the step beyond that and look at where things are moving, what advancements are popping up, what new areas are being explored in terms of performance and all facets of the term. And we need to get out ahead of that. We need to be on the cutting edge of a lot of that stuff. Any little thing that's going to give you an edge, any little marginal gain type opportunity, you have to take advantage of. It's just, you have to. There's no other way around it. We can't afford to sit here and be left behind any further than we already have been in the last 20 years or so. When you look at Carrington, when you look at the stadium, when you look at the way we've been doing recruitment and scouting and whatnot, it's just been just subpar in so many ways, and we have to do better. So I'm glad that Vavell is being made permanent. I think he's a diamond in the rough when it comes to recruitment and scouting. I think he really could be almost like the next Ralph Ragnick in terms, and it's coincidence that he did start with the R group. So, and then Sam Arith, it's good to have performance on there as well. We've also appointed a new sports therapist in Plymouth Argyle's Abner Brujashesi. I hope I got that right. I don't know what that is. That's been confirmed by like Plymouth Argyle, and then Abner himself has confirmed that as well. So we'll see. It's not all good news for staff, though, unfortunately, because on the back of last week's news that another round of cuts were going to be made, Lloyd Whitwell also confirmed that two names on that list are Richard Hawkins and David Harrison. Now, Hawkins was the director of football insights and innovations. Not really sure what that position entails, to be honest with you. Harrison was director of football operations. I don't know how many directors of football operations or technical directors or any of that, how many we need at a club, honestly. It really doesn't make sense. But those two have been informed that they will not continue their roles at Manchester United, and exit terms are currently being discussed. Now, we also saw that news last week with this round of cuts that the scouting department was going to be slashed heavily. I don't think anybody has a big problem with that. I think on its surface, a lot of people are going to outrage because it's more cuts and stuff, and they're going to say Sir Jim's trying to pocket money and he's greedy, he's the Glazer 2.0, he's a rat, whatever you want to say. But can anyone really look back at the last decade and say that we've done a decent job of scouting and recruitment? We haven't. You wouldn't even be able to tell that we had scouts at United for the longest time. It was just the most like obvious lazy signings that we've made in the last decade or so since Ferguson retired. So it's interesting stuff. Oh, what are you guys saying here? Danny says, we need to get that Malian kid, Dembele, left wing center. I heard he was class. Watch highlights of him. Didn't we talk about him like 2 or 3 months ago? We've been linked to a lot of Malian kids. And that's not like a stereotype. And it's just interesting, with Sekou Kone and a lot. Maybe that's the next big market is coming out of Mali. I don't know, but not the first one that we've been linked with. Is probably the third or fourth. So Danny says he still plays in Africa. I think Vavell will be all over that deal. Yeah, there are a lot of programs in Africa for, I forget what the program's called now. Someone will remind me. There are programs out in Africa that are designed for this, to get, kids who want to be footballers, who have potential, who have skill and whatnot. There are programs in Africa, like placed in Africa for that purpose, to go out there to scout, to give them an outlet for that, and then give them opportunities, and let them kind of earn that opportunities. So sounds like we're taking advantage of those kind of things, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But speaking of young kids, though, who are set for big things, Fabrizio Romano reported this week that Bendito Montato is set to sign a pro contract at United this week. That's going to run till 2029. Now, he did travel to Bilbao for that match last night. Love to see the youngsters on the bench. I think we'll probably maybe see more of them involved in the second leg. I definitely hope we see some of them involved this weekend against Brentford, because let's face it, the league's done and dusted. Let's just keep our first teamers fit, give them a run out here and there for 20, 25 minutes in the league to keep those legs sharp, keep that rust from building up. But let's just be honest, we don't need to do any of that. Danny said, delighted for him, seeing that yesterday. Yeah, Montato, he was being talked up a few months ago, and then it's kind of gone a little quiet. But that's going to happen when you kind of make that transition from the academy to the first team, and you're kind of hovering in that kind of purgatory spot. He's not really getting as many chances to shine. He did play recently for the academy. The under-18s play to get later on today, is in a couple hours too, if anyone wants to watch that. But like to see Montato get a new contract, Camus, and all these guys. Let's get them all signed up. We saw them all on the bench yesterday. So Um, as you're talking about Malian kids, Danny, that brings me to my next point because we're talking about youngsters. So this is coming from Pete O'Rourke, aka Sport Pedo on Twitter. Not that kind of pedo, potty mouth. But this is an update on United's midfielder search. So O'Rourke reports that both United and Liverpool have shown interest in Stade midfielder Amadou Kone. So currently valued at 20 million. Malian-born 19-year-old. Sound familiar, Danny? He's been a regular for Rams now for 2 seasons as a young teenager, which is incredible. Honestly, if you're already playing regular first-team football for 2 seasons, and you're not even 20 years old yet. There's something there. That reminds me of guys like your Ruben Neves and these guys. Like if you're getting those minutes at that age, like there's something there, right? Energetic, physical, defensive, ball progression. He's got a lot of it. I've seen him called the next Castella Lukeba, or Baleba, sorry, online. Very, very good young midfielder. Top 3% right now in the French league for tackles per 90, top 10% for interceptions per 90, top 18% for successful take-ons. Really a modern midfielder who can do a lot of good work on and off the ball. Ideal for an amorim system. Makes sense that we're linked to him. If true, I could definitely see him coming in and rotating with Ugarte, Casemiro, and whatnot. His carries, his progressive passes, all that, etc. They're all well above average as well. He looks to me on paper at least like a solid young midfielder. I haven't watched a lot of it because I don't watch the French league, but he sounds very familiar, very similar to the other young Malian kid we've already signed. We've already got in the academy, Sekou Kone, who is 20, I believe now, but they're not related. I had to look it up. They're not related. So, but apparently this kid is on our list, so we will see how it goes. Danny says he's good. That's good. Danny says I only watched highlights, to be honest. Good ball winner. Yeah, from the numbers. I mean, from the tackles, interceptions, and stuff. I think we have to move away from the like you win the ball and that's all you do kind of thing. You have to be able to do a little bit more on and off the ball in this system if you're in this pivot, especially. And I think that he does that. Again, I read out those progressive numbers. Once he wins the ball, he can actually do something with it. Again, he reminds me a lot of Sekou Kone when you watch Sekou play in the academy. He's all over the place. He's fighting. He's winning the ball. He's got a really ball progression on him, Kone. Like very, very good. Danny wants him signed up. Big up, yeah. I like where we're going with a lot of these youngsters. I do think we need a little bit of experience as well. Guys like the Bishalis and whatnot, I do think that would not go amiss because we need some leaders as well on and off the pitch. Danny says a more developed Kone, yeah. He looks good from what I've seen. But speaking of experience, though, in that midfield area, so I want to stick with midfield. So this is coming from Forbes. They claim that both United and Forest are keeping tabs on out-of-favor Juventus midfielder Douglas Luiz. Now, we've discussed Douglas Luiz before on this channel. I think back in January we talked about him when we were linked. He's been injured quite a bit this season, 4 separate muscle injuries since joining Juve. Hasn't really featured for Juve at all since Thiago Motta was sacked not that long ago. Now, I think Juve paid like $50 million for him. It's claimed now by Forbes that his value has dropped to just over $30 million. So a big, big dip. That's what's going to happen when you're not playing and when you're injured. So that's just part of football. But as I've said in the past, when we were linked with Douglas Luiz originally in January, I like Douglas Luiz a lot. I thought he was excellent at Villa. I think he's an excellent midfielder. But again, it's the injuries that get me. If he wasn't so injury prone these days, this would be an excellent pickup in my opinion. It'd almost be ideal. But he's just injured. And I'm so done with injury prone players like Mount, Shaw, Martial, even Varane. Like I'm just done. Phil Jones. We can't be bothered to do this because he'll be on big wages. It'll represent a big chunk of our budget and it's an important area of the pitch. We can't afford to sign another player who's never going to be fit. It's said, availability is the best ability. And if you're not available, I got to move on. But you guys let me know what you think. Would you take Douglas Luiz if you can get a deal done for like 25, 30 million, maybe like 25 with some add-ons or something? Would you take him in the summer? 26 right now. Got several years left. Danny says probably pass. Yeah, I'm going to pass. It's the injuries. Again, take the injuries out of it. And this to me is like an ideal signing, 20 million less than someone like Ederson. He's already played in the Premier League as well. I think that's a big, big bonus as well. It's just the injuries. I can't get past it. So I can't justify spending that much and prioritizing that, and then on the wages just for someone who can't be relied upon to stay fit. So Danny says, prefer Yashari, Stiller, Stash, or Hackney. Yeah, any of those. You can get all four of those for get all four of them, and you're set for a while. Yashari had an excellent game again the other day as well. The dude is just always buzzing around that pitch, getting involved. Man, he wants the ball. I'd like to see. I think I think what's limiting him at Club Brugge, Yashari, and again, he's not like bad, but he's being asked to play a little deeper than I think he really should. I think he has so much more to offer higher up the pitch. And that's not me saying he needs to play as a 10. I think let him be a little bit more box to box but he basically just sits between the defense and the rest of his teammates when Club Brugge get into the opposition half, and he kind of patrols that midfield area. Now, it's good. He's quick. He's got a low center of gravity. He's really good at winning the ball. He's really good at progressing the ball. But I think that he's so good on the ball that I love to see him get a little bit more freedom to create a little bit more at Club Brugge. He has in the past. He's created some excellent opportunities. He's gone on marauding runs, putting excellent crosses. I just like to see him not so kind of forced to stay back so deep, if that makes sense. Rob says too short at 5'9". People said that about Licha as well, and there's a lot of people out here eating crow, but he's very, very good midfielder. It's that low center of gravity. If you're strong enough, you can do a lot with a low center of gravity. It actually can make you better in some situations. You're not so top heavy. You've got better balance. Look at Ahmad, look at guys like Messi and things. Like, you can do a lot with it now. It depends on the system. But the guy is better than a lot of the midfielders we currently have if you watch him. But yeah, like Danny says, very similar to Vitinha. He's got a little bit more defensive bite to him than Vitinha, I think. Vitinha's definitely got a little bit more of a silky ball player aspect to him. I love Vitinha a lot. I can see Vitinha going to Real Madrid very soon to replace someone like Modric. I think Real Madrid definitely need someone to replicate what Toni Kroos brought to that team in terms of his passing range and whatnot. But Real Madrid have a lot of work to do. But he is very similar to Vitinha. I think he's like a combination. You take like the ball progression of Vitinha and some of that defensive bite of like a João Neves or something, and you're going to get a little bit of what you see from Yashari. But you guys have heard me talk about Yashari plenty of times. I'm sure the last thing you want is for me to talk about him one more. Yeah, like Danny says, a little bit more physical. He is very physical. I want to see him a little less defensively kind of stationed, if that makes sense. But it is what it is. From midfield to defense. So this is coming from Paul Gilmore at Sky Sports, and he claims that United are now actively considering signing soon-to-be free agent center back Jonathan Tah. He plays for Bayer Leverkusen. His contract with Leverkusen is set to expire this summer. 29-year-old German defender. He's very much a modern defender. Tah plays in the back three, so very familiar with the system. He's a leader. He's a free agent. He ticks a lot of boxes, right? If you look at his numbers, he's got a lot of good progression numbers, a lot of good progressive passing and carries. Like I said, modern defender. If we're looking at free agent defenders, I'd probably still take Bashali, because Bashali is definitely a little bit more of a long-term for me. And that's just me personally, though. Tah, I think, would do very well. Honestly, I don't know why like Madrid don't look at someone like Tah free. I'm surprised Madrid aren't looking at like Bashali, for instance. Like, Madrid need defenders. I don't think Madrid have a bunch of money to work with. You could get Jonathan Tah and Olivier Bashali as free agents and be set for a while. But Bashali is 27. You'll have him for another 5 years or so. Tah probably 3, 4, depending on how fit he is. So, but if we're looking in the freebie bin, I definitely probably go for Bashali over Jonathan Tah personally. Danny says, nah, lacks the pace, too old, prefer Bashali. I mean, you did go back on how you felt about Maguire, so I don't know, maybe Tah could fool you, but yeah, like you say, Danny, I would prefer Bashali. I think Bashali takes up that left side. He is a very good Licha replacement until we get Licha back, personally. He's older, so he is a little bit more experienced, a little bit more of a leader. He is more of a modern defender, Bashali. But Danny says, I had some plastic fans tell me the other day we don't need a left center back. Well, I think you just kind of answered your own question there. Plastic fan. Always like, and here's the thing, like, I think people will say that, but then that's just all they say. Like, you guys know how I feel. Like, it's, for me, these discussions are never a right, wrong, good or bad, yes, no. These, like, have your opinion. I welcome everyone's opinion, but what I ask and really what I demand, if I'm going to give it time on the chat, is you got to be able to back it up. So the question that I would ask if someone fan tell me we don't need a left center back is, I would say, why do you think that? Tell me your reasoning for that. Is it because we have Aiden Heaven? Is it because we got Mizraoui Yoro? I think we need someone who replicates what Licha does, because Licha was probably the most well-suited center back to this system. Good on the ball, physical, good defending the channels, has the pace, but he's not the fastest, but he does have the pace, and he's got the physicality and the aggression that we're looking for. Not many more of our center backs have that, those qualities. And so we have other center backs that work just fine. But again, it's about replicating as close as you can to what Licha provides, which we don't really have. You're looking at someone like a Schlotterbeck, someone like a Ignacio, those kind of center backs to replicate that. Danny said he thought Kukonki Heaven could push us to the next level. So he thought Kukonki, who's never played for the first team, could push us to the next level. And Heaven, who literally an 18-year-old who just joined us in January from an academy, who does look good. To his credit, Heaven has looked good when he's played, but he's not enough. Someone like Bashali or even like Ta, as we're talking about Ta, they would be good to come in and kind of, it's the same reason why we need an older striker, because you can't put all that pressure on an 18-year-old center back. It's just, you just can't. I'm sorry, but you can't. So it's good to have someone to come in and who can carry a lot of that pressure, a lot of that responsibility, someone who can teach these young defenders a little bit in terms of just that system. So same as Hoyland, someone he can learn off of, ask questions, be a sponge for, someone who can carry that responsibility, someone who's old enough and experienced enough to be able to carry that responsibility and that pressure is what we need. And that's why we do need a good, healthy balance of experience, leadership, and youth and potential in the squad. That's a healthy squad. Rob says, we 100% need an experienced CB in the summer. Yeah, see, I'm glad you guys are on the same page. I mean, it's not about right or wrong. It's just we need someone who can carry that. We have too many areas of development throughout the pitch. And that's not saying that some of these young players are bad, but they're young. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to go on runs where they're inconsistent and they're struggling. We've seen it many, many times. Hoyland, Garnacho, even Mainu's been hit or miss at times, things like that. We need to have players that we can rely on. Like even Dorgu struggled early on. He's still just 20 though, Dorgu. So it makes sense. But again, we can't afford to have so many areas in the starting 11 where everyone's in. And that's been a problem too this season, is all these younger players, especially the attackers, have kind of all been on a slump at the same time, and we don't have any other options depth wise. So it's hard. But yeah, you're speaking facts, Rob, as Danny says, man, these are facts. But yeah, Jonathan Ta, I think that I'd still take Bashali if we're shopping in the freebie bin, but it's not my money, not my call. You guys let me know. Regarding any signings, though, it sounds like Ruben Amorim and Ineos are not going to be wasting any time on players who only want Champions League football in order to join United. So speaking to Sport TV in Portugal, Amorim had something to say of players who only want CL football. He said, if a player only wants to come to Man United to play Champions League, then he won't come. We want players who want to represent United, not players who want to play certain competitions. How do y'all feel about that? We talked a little bit about that in terms of Gyökeres. That was the context of the question, was Gyökeres reportedly wanting Champions League football. We talked about that the other day with Liam Delap. Reportedly is waiting to see what happens with potential suitors before making a commitment. I think you're not committed if you're waiting for something like that to make a commitment, if that makes sense. And it's hard. I get it. We're not in a place where we can be like, well, you should just want to play for Manchester United. I'm sure Gary Neville will be out there saying the same thing. Like, what's Manchester United? Like, that's just not the way it's working right now. You've got players, honestly, who probably weren't even aware of United's glory years because they're just so young. I'm not saying that that's an excuse. I'm just saying that that's just the reality of the situation. That's what happens with generations. Could this be a sign that we're probably not going to be getting Victor Gyökeres? That would be a bummer. I do love Gyökeres a lot. I don't have a problem with what he said, though. Going back to what Ruben Amorim's quote, to be honest, I don't have a problem with it. again, especially if these rumors about Liam Delap only wanting CL football are true, I don't think that, like, and again, I'm not saying Liam Delap has said this. I'm saying if true, you got to earn it. I don't know where someone like Liam Delap gets off demanding first team or Champions League football. You have to earn it. You have to contribute. You have to maybe take on that challenge to help us get there. You don't wait to see if we earn it for ourselves and then jump on that wagon, like you had a part to play, like you've deserved it. Liam Delap has played one season of Premier League football. He's not even had an excellent season it is what it is, but apparently, according to Lee Ryder with the Chronicle, Delap is demanding between 120 to 150K a week as well. Again, if true, if these rumors with Delap wanting Champions League football, wanting almost 150K a week are true, the guy's out of his mind. He's taking the piss. That's just all there is to it. He's only on 20K a week right now in a relegated side after one season of Premier League football, and he's got barely a dozen goals to his name in the league. Like, I don't know where this dude gets off asking for that, if that's what's happening. Oh yeah, you already said that. Danny thinks Amorim is right. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't have a problem with it. If that's all you're waiting to see, like, do they get it? Like, that to me shows you're not a team player. That to me shows you just want to play in Europe. And I get it. Everyone wants to play in Europe, but I think I want to see people who want to play a part in getting us to Europe, if that makes sense. Danny says 100% average season, and he thinks he's king. Yeah, like I said, if this is true, and I said that the other day, like, if this is true, then this has to be his agent, his family, his friends, whoever, just in his ear. You're young, you're English. Look at what Harry Kane did. That could be you. That's going to be you. Like, that is, if true, that is the epitome of the kind of people that you do not need to surround yourself with. You need to have people who have your best interest in mind. You need to surround yourself with people who are willing to tell you truth, sometimes harsh truths that you need to hear, not just what you want to hear. A lot of people that hang out with these footballers are just only have their self-interest in mind, and this is why so many footballers make bad mistakes. Look at all the gambling shit that people have been dealing with. I guarantee you no footballer being paid 200, 250K a week is out here thinking, I got to make more money. I'm going to go on a gambling website. No, you've got people who are speaking in your ear who are influencing you. That's just the way it goes. And if true, that's a really bummer for Liam Delap. Let him go to Newcastle. Let him go to Chelsea. Let him do whatever he wants if that's true. But the guy should be rotation option with someone like Perez or Jonathan David or an Oshman. He should not be starting. If he's starting, then he's got to go to like a West Ham or a Brighton or something. That's basically his level. So moving on. Told you we have a lot of news. It's going to be a hefty stream today, but big up you guys for joining me. And like I said, you're going to have to put on your fun to wear because we're going to be here in a minute. We're not even done with the news yet. We haven't even started the match reaction, and I'm still buzzing. One target for a lot of Man United fans could end up being sold this summer, as Brentford manager Thomas Frank has admitted that star attacker Brian Mbeumo could be sold for the right price this summer, as he's sure the club would be open to it. That is Brentford's model. Thomas Frank even admitted so. Like, Brentford are a selling club. That is their thing. They've been doing it for several years now. They did it with Mopé. A lot of these guys have come and gone. That's their model. They're the Dortmund. They're the old Southampton from the 2013, 2014, 15. That's what they do. They're the Brightons, basically. They've replaced several of their goal scorers. Mbeumo would not be any exception to that as well. But Frank did say that if Mbeumo were to be sold, it would be expensive for him to go. So probably looking at 70, 80 mil, honestly. I think Brentford are trying to get a piece of that Brighton action, sell all these players for crazy fees. But what do you think? Mbeumo, Cunha, Delap, which one ticks the boxes? I think Mbeumo, he comes in, honestly, he can play in that 10. He can play right wing back personally, too. He's got pace. He's got power. He's having an excellent season. He could play in that right wing back spot. Does that mean Ahmad's on the bench? Does that mean you see Ahmad in the 10? Like, what do you guys see for Mbeumo here? Danny's got another name for me. Lucas Stashin, Belgian kid playing in France. I will make a note, man, and I will see... I always got time for your player recommendations, Danny boy. I got a Delgado coming for you soon. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna type this out. But you guys, what do you think about Embuemo, how much do you think he would go for? Was that somebody that would be worth the money right now with everything that we need to do in the summer and whatnot? Danny sees him as a striker. Okay, interesting. Let me look that up and see. Embuemo positions played. So Football Critic is very good if you guys ever want to look up how many times a player has played in certain positions. So you don't have to go back and look at all the matches and stuff like FootMob or SofaScore. If you go to Football Critic, or if you just type in a player and positions played, that's how I get to learn. So he's played as an attacking midfielder on the right-hand side 23 times. He's played so that's kind of like a wing back role. He's only played center forward 9 times so far. So he's definitely more of that right midfielder, right winger. I mean, he could play striker. Again, it just depends on where Amorim sees him. Really, I think a lot of this is going to hinge upon where Amorim sees Amad Diallo playing personally. Rob says, Mr. B, Brentford Brandon will suddenly appear because Embuemo's been mentioning interesting. Like summer camp, you go into the bathroom and turn off the lights and say Embuemo 5 times in the dark in front of the mirror, and this random Brentford fan will pop up out of nowhere. Interesting. Danny says, Cunha and Embuemo in a front 3 might push us to a top 6. Interesting. That's a big claim. You're taking some of the best attackers from some of the struggling teams. I mean, Brentford are pretty much a mid-table side. Wolves always seem like they go on this good run, but it doesn't ever seem to help them because they are still below us in the table. So Rob says, I'd like us to sign Brian, even though I think Newcastle will do well to get him an upgrade on Murphy. Yeah, Murphy definitely. Didn't they get rid of Almiron too? I completely did not clock that Almiron left. He left in January, right? Is he back in the MLS? That's where they got him from. But I do like Embuemo. I do like Cunha. I also like Amad. So it's just all just heavy rotation because it's hard to have these players. Some of them playing the same positions. Garnacho really should be. It's weird because Garnacho really should have not been week in, week out starter for a couple seasons, but now he's getting to an age where if you were good enough, if you were developing, you'd think, okay, he's starting. But he's just not quite there yet in terms of consistency and maybe taking those next steps that he needs to take. And so you'd still say, okay, he needs to rotate, but at the same time, he is at an age where he probably should be starting if he were that good. So Garnacho is a tricky one. He's back in MLS because that's where he came from, Atlanta United, because he was excellent for Atlanta United, and then he went to Newcastle. Took him he had one good season, and now he's back in the MLS. Huh? Interesting. So yeah, Embuemo, interesting stuff. I like him, but we will see. Going to be expensive though. Danny says, after watching Thuram a couple times at Inter, I am pissed we never got him. I tweeted during that Inter match, by the way, that because I do tweet sometimes. This was way before the channel started, so you guys won't have known this, but I'm pretty sure I mentioned I wanted us to sign Marcus Thuram that January remember November, Ten Hag's first season, Cristiano Ronaldo threw his little temper tantrum and left. We got Wout Weghorst on loan. We could have spent a little bit more money that January and probably convinced Marcus Thuram to join us and be our starting striker. His contract with Mönchengladbach was going to be expiring that season, so he was already going to be leaving as a free. I forget what we spent on Wout Weghorst. It was like 3 or 5 million or something. Could have spent twice that, got Marcus Thuram in January. That way Mönchengladbach would have gotten some money for him. He would have been, 25 or so at the time. Excellent age. I think that to me would have no-brainer. I don't think it would have taken much to convince him. He wouldn't have to sit there and compete at Inter with Lautaro Martinez. He could have just come and been the main guy starting week in, week out if he's fit. And yeah, Danny, I am pissed. I'm very pissed that we didn't get him because he, I think, could have solved a lot of problems for us. I think he is an excellent, excellent striker. I don't think he's as good, obviously, as Gyökeres, but I think that being the main guy, not having to share goals, because he's still getting, 13, 14, 15 goals, and he's had split time with Lautaro Martinez. I think that he could have definitely been an excellent, excellent addition. Danny says, yeah, 100% Pal was saying the same thing at the time. But Danny, I think you and I just need to rock up to Old Trafford. You go handle all the scouting, man. I'll take over director of football stuff, and we will just turn this club around literally in one summer. And then in a couple of years, all the South American players that you've scouted, we'll sell a couple of them, make bank. We'll be back in the black before we know it. and everyone will be celebrating trophies, man. Danny said he suits the system. I think he's just like physically, he's suited to the English game. He's quick, he's powerful, he's physical. I think that he ticks a lot of boxes for Premier League football personally. Rob says, how much would Guirassy cost now? Could have had him for 17 million. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, man. Had an opportunity there. I was even saying a while back when I was still writing for Stretty News that I always forget the dude, Sebastian Aller, when he was having an excellent season for Ajax under Ten Hag. I think he could have been an excellent stopgap to come in for a little while, but it is what it is. We know we're looking at strikers. Again, we're at a weird place money-wise. We wanted 2 strikers when we got Højlund. We could only afford 1 striker, which is why we got Højlund. I think that, again, we have to be a little more creative. We have to push a little harder. We have to think a little like ahead of where we are. It's like playing pool. You can't just look at the shots that you have and take the obvious one. You have to plan ahead. Sometimes the obvious shot is not the best shot to take in pool, but you have to always be thinking a couple moves ahead. And that's how you win a game of pool. But what are you going to do? Danny says, Guirassy would have taken a lot of heat off Rasmus last January. Yeah, no, I agree. It's hindsight in many, many ways. But all you can do is hope that people learn from the decisions and try to make better ones moving forward. And that's all you can do in life. That's all you can ask of yourself. And so that's all you can ask of anyone else. But sometimes it's also about the people you have in charge. And that was still when we had crap recruitment structure, or you could say just no recruitment structure, if we're being honest, but it was still not great. So moving on, because we are crazy over time here, but that's okay. I'm here for it. Remember Alvaro Carreras Fernandez, that young Spanish left back that we all wanted the club to keep, and we all still kind of secretly have some outrage about the fact that we sold. Well, Spanish outlet Diario AS, they claim that Real Madrid plan to use Manchester United as a bridge to bring Alvaro back. Now, apparently Benfica want £51 million for this kid, but Madrid want to use us, and they want us to reportedly activate our 15 million buyback clause and then immediately sell Alvaro to them for 25-30 million. So basically, Madrid are reportedly going to try to convince Alvaro to join them, but they're going to have to convince him to come back to United real quick on paper just so that he can go to Madrid for even less. Now, Madrid's left back spot, I don't know why they're looking at Alvaro. He's good. Mendy is garbage. I don't know what Ancelotti sees in Mendy. He's never looked good when I've seen him play. I think Fran Garcia is better than Mendy. I don't think Fran Garcia is amazing, but he's better than Mendy. I think Fran Garcia is very fast, very physical. He lacks a little bit of that polish on the ball. He's definitely nowhere near Marcelo on the ball. But if true, I mean, that's so weird. This is likely, if Benfica want £50 million for him, it's likely because we have a sell-on clause, probably like 40-50% sell-on clause. So, of course, they're going to raise their asking price. They want to make sure they're not losing out on the value, right? It's not rocket science in that regard, but Madrid can piss off though if they want to use us. They've been using us for years. Danny says Rasmus' best game under Amorim last night. That's what Amorim said. I think he definitely had a good game. I think I've seen him play better. Like I think against City personally, he was better. But I think that Rasmus has been told. It looks like Rasmus has been told to be a little bit more patient. It looks like he's been told to calculate his movement off the ball a little bit more. And it's definitely been told, he looks like he's been told to kind of figure out in different ways to get involved in the build-up and the hold-up play. Because we've seen that really since the Derby, that his build-up has looked a lot better. He's contributing a little more. He's doing a very good job. That heel flick the other day was a thing of beauty against, I think it was Bournemouth. And then last night, good movement. Obviously, he got that pen as well. So he's doing what he needs to do. He's doing what you'd expect someone who just recently turned 22-year-old striker to do. He's trying to develop those other areas of his game. And what that's going to do is allow him not to focus so much on scoring goals. Obviously, you want your striker to score goals, but it's allowing him to kind of build confidence, to work on other areas of the game. The goals will come if he just works on his movement a little bit more. They'll come. He's getting into good areas, but Yeah, I don't think he's bad. Danny says pretty much the same thing I was just about to say, man. I literally have it. You can't see it on my screen, but it literally says Madrid can piss off. Throw in Guler on a loan to buy deal, and we'll at least sit down to chat. Danny, you like get out of my brain, dude. You're like living rent free up here, brother. And that's literally what my next line was. Madrid can piss off. Throw in Guler on a loan to buy deal, and we'll at least sit down to chat about this if you want our help. Um, that's interesting. Yeah, Danny, you and I make a good team. Richard Hawkins, are you the one who just got fired? Let me know if that's you. He says, welcome to the channel. We should bring him back and not sell him to Madrid. Well, again, I don't know if you're allowed to do that. It would be funny, but and then a lot of people are saying, why don't we activate that buyback clause? Like the player's got to want to come back. Like, and that's just the thing it is. I think that he probably is enjoying life out there. And obviously any player is going to be a little stung if you were so quick to sell them. I think he's probably up there with the Garners and the Kembualas. Like we needed money, and we sold a lot of youngsters a couple years ago. Iqbal, Elanga, Mengi, Chong. We sold a lot of these youngsters with a lot of future sell-ons and buyback clauses, and we may not get all that money right up front, but we will be getting that in the next year or so from a lot of when these players make their moves to different clubs. So, but yeah, would you guys be willing to work with Madrid on that? I don't see what the incentive is for us, honestly. I don't really get that. We'll make a little bit more money, but we'll make more because someone else will come in and buy him. That's just the way it is. So there's really no need for us to do that. We'll make money on Alvaro, whether he goes now or he goes in the future. So again, Madrid can piss off unless they want to throw us one of these number 10s that never sees minutes for them, because we need one. And I'd take Arda Güler in a second on a loan to buy. But again, Guler's got to want to come too. So Rob says, Madrid have pulled our pants down in the past. Fair play to them, but they don't like parting with money. Well, Madrid do need some money, though. That's for sure. Then he says, swap Fernandez for Guler or Camavinga. Camavinga is injured, isn't he? Out of all the midfielders they have, Camavinga is probably the one that hasn't looked Madrid quality to me. That could be a lot of that down to the fact that he's been playing a lot of out of position. But if you put all Madrid's midfielders on, I'd probably be the one that would rank lowest for me. This doesn't say he's bad. He just doesn't look as Madrid quality as some of these other midfielders personally. But Danny says, no, take the sell on. Yep. Richard says, no, we owe Madrid nothing. Danny says, tell him call Franco and send him sign for United. I mean, they could help us out. I don't know why Franco would even go. Like we saw those rumors a couple months back that Baturina at Zagreb did not reportedly want to go to Madrid because number 10s aren't getting minutes. Brahim's not getting many minutes right now. Guler's not getting any minutes. Modric is even on the bench the other day. So like, I don't understand why you would go there right now as a number 10. You've got Bellingham again. They were doing so well last season with that front two with the diamond. Mbappe, I'm not saying Mbappe's bad because he's got a lot of goals, but the signing really threw off a lot of their groove. And I think that it was, you couple that with the fact that they didn't really strengthen in the defense, which I really felt like they needed to. And it was an uphill battle for Carlo. I mean, there's no secret that he's probably going to go to Brazil this summer. It sounds like Xabi Alonso is going to head to Madrid in the summer. Ten Hag is rumored to be taken over for Leverkusen after Xabi Alonso leaves. Could be really interesting. Maybe some of Ten Hag's players that he signed for United could be on their way to Leverkusen in the future. Who knows? But interesting stuff. But yeah, Madrid can piss off. Throw us Guler, throw us somebody on, and we'll talk. But we have no reason to help them out. There's no reason. I don't even care about the Casemiro or the Varane shit, but like we have no reason to help them out. So you have to be a little selfish and you have to look out for yourselves now and then. So on Madrid, though, the other side of Madrid, Spanish journalist Marcos Benito claims that Atletico Madrid have inquired about Antony, who got a brace last night for Real Betis. I think he got a brace. Did he get a brace or did he just double their lead? I don't remember. I didn't watch that game, but they played Fiorentina in the Conference League and they beat them 2-1. Antony obviously doing very, very well during his loan. Spanish League definitely suits him. And sometimes that's just all the difference it takes. It's just different leagues, different systems, different managers. That can be the difference maker for a player. But reportedly, Atletico Madrid are interested in Antony. They've inquired about him, and the journalist claims that we will be open to selling him for between 40 and 50 million euros. That price tag jumped up. Remember when he first went on loan, we were looking at like 20 to 25. Obviously, we're never going to make our money back on Antony. That's not on Antony. That's not on Ten Hag. That's on United. The recruitment, whoever was in charge at that time, that's all on them. We've talked about that many times, but it was definitely overpay. So honestly, if we signed him for the original price, which was like 30 to 35 million, and all other things have gone the same route, like if you still went to Betis and you're still doing bits, we would make money on Antony. But alas and alack, that's not. I wish we could rewrite that timeline, but it is what it is. I'm not Marvel Jesus. I can't go back and rewrite that. So Real Betis, though, they better stop pretending to be broke, and they need to pony up if they want to keep Antony. I saw they were talking about like kidnapping or something just to keep him, but Rob says, nice goal with the right foot. I've said it how many times on this channel. Antony scores bangers with his right foot. He's scored several for United with his right foot. That winner against Barcelona to send us through, oddly enough, to face Real Betis in the Europa League for Ten Hag's first season. I was at that Betis game. It was awesome. Liverpool last season in that quarterfinal, he scored with his right foot. And then again, he only scores bangers with his right foot. It's like he just saves the right foot for big matches, and he just doesn't bother with it. But Richard says, yeah, I've seen that report. I hope it's true. Well, we will see. We will see. But Antony probably needs to. I think the Premier League is just a little too physical for him. He doesn't get away with as much in the Premier League. Spanish League sounds like it's definitely suited for him. So the better he does, the more we'll get for him. I can't remember now the intricacies of his loan. Do we get more of a bonus when he does well? Do we get more money if he progresses in Europe? Kind of like what we saw with Sancho last year with Dortmund. I don't know. But Chelsea are through pretty much, right? They beat who did they play last night? I don't remember now. Partizan or some I don't remember. I think they won that like 4-1 or something. So Sancho, Antony, probably going to their final. We could see a lot of United players involved in the finals, but on a related, I guess not related, but somewhat related note, we got a big win for football because Sky Sports are reportedly going to let go of a number of key presenters and reporters. About time. It sounds like this move is going to affect a lot of on and off air personnel who have been there for a while, and this is all reportedly in an effort to increase Sky's appeal to like more streaming stuff, more younger audiences, whatnot. I can think of a few of their presenters that I'd like to see shown the door. Jamie Carragher can fuck off. Sorry, I said the loud part quiet and the quiet part loud there. I do think a couple of these people need to go. Gary Cotterill probably needs to go. Remember that idiot who pretty much was rude to Amorim before he even joined United? Cotterill went all the way to Sporting to a presser and basically demanded that Amorim answer questions in English at that Sporting presser in Lisbon. What an asshole. Melissa Reddy can go too. She's just tiresome. I can't stand listening to her sometimes. But could be good. Sky Sports obviously struggling. And like I said many times, this isn't me lumping myself into some sort of successful content creation like realm, because that's not me. Because I'm not there. It's a small channel. But I do think that mainstream media is starting to be a little bit more controversial. They are taking a little bit more liberties with some of their takes, some of their presenters, some of the things they're allowing to be said and whatnot. Not like crossing the line, but I think they're seeing how popular and how much of a threat and really honestly how much better these bigger fan channels are on YouTube, and some of the ways that these channels are going. And these channels are like, some of these people who started off as presenters are now working for Sky and whatnot, and their channels are huge. Mainstream media is threatened by that. So now they have to make changes or they're going to get left behind. It is what it is. Sky's probably still butthurt because they didn't get to buy the Premier League. What is what it is. Ignorant shit, this guy. I thought you were talking about me for a second, my guy. Which one, man? There's all sorts of Sky reporters that are ignorant shits, honestly. You have to be more specific. We're talking about Sky, of course. So thought that was interesting. Let me know your thoughts. Why don't we dive into the match reaction, since that's why we're here. We spent an hour talking about the news, you guys. This is why when I have the time, I do split the news and the match stuff into different. I just don't have the time right now, turning into a very busy week. But let's talk about the match, please. Like that video, subscribe. Thank you guys for sticking it out this long. I promise we're going to get through this, right? We're in this together now. But let's talk about the starting 11 as United ran out 3-1 winners against Bilbao. Honestly, the starting 11 was probably the best we had, considering injuries, match fitness, whatnot. There's not much else you can do with that, right? Ugarte, Casemiro midfield, Bruno up there, Garnacho, Højlund, Dorgu, Mazraoui, Maguire. Like, what are you going to do? Euro. There's not much more. Lindelof, you could argue Lindelof maybe, but it is what it is. But I was excited about the youngsters on the bench as I put out that post yesterday when I saw that. But even if they didn't get minutes, it's still exciting to see that this is the future. The future does look bright. We've done academy watch-alongs. We talk about the academy a lot. Our academy is the best it's been in 30 years right now. And that's saying something. But I was thrilled, too, to see Ahmad back on the bench. That was awesome. De Ligt back on the bench. Like, that's crazy. I mean, Ahmad got like 10 minutes, and he was actually very good in that cameo, too. We're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. But starting, would you guys have done anything differently with that starting 11? Would you have liked to seen some of the youngsters get on more minutes? 3-0 is not super comfortable in Europe because, again, if we had done some youngsters and we conceded a goal, you don't go into that second leg as confident, but I get what it is. Hopefully that means we'll see some more this weekend, but it is what it is. Overall, I mean, despite some early jitters, it was like a rough 15, 18, 20 minutes to start. Like, Bilbao were all over us pressing. They were really forcing a lot of errors. They were winning back the ball. We looked just kind of, they looked like we looked jet lag and they looked up for it in those first 15 minutes or so. We didn't seem capable of keeping the ball. But despite that, though, again, football, it's a 90-minute match. Overall, we were the better side. Surprising, really, again, but I have to remind myself that we're Jekyll and Hyde when it comes to the league and Europe right now. We had 73% possession on the night. We actually didn't dip below like 63 possession in either half. We had 77% actually in the second half. Literally 4 times the passes that Bilbao had, 3 times the XG, 14 shots to their 9, 7 on target to their 3, 4 big chances to their 2, and then twice as many shots from inside the box and more than double the touches inside the box. We were the better side. We were the side that was on the front foot, the dominant side. We won nearly twice as many duels. We had twice as many dribbles completed. Like I said, we were just better on the night. And that's just, you can't argue with that. Like I said, it did start off rocky, but we quickly recovered, and that's all there is to it. Danny says, I would put Manu on instead of Mount. I think we scored another 1-2. Can we talk about how poo Mount was again and another yellow card? Is he doing bets on the side every time he gets a game? Yeah, I got thoughts on Mount because I wasn't super impressed. He looked like a guy who does play, who came on and wanted to get involved. And I thought he forced it a little bit. He was kind of like everyone else was kind of like trying to take it careful and slow things down as we went into those final minutes. And Mount was like, no, let's go. And it was causing a lot of problems. He wasn't really on the same page as everybody. There was constantly missing passes and his movement was off. So he looked a little overzealous, I say was the best way to describe Mason Mount when he came on. But I mean, I get it. He wants to get involved. He wants to play. He's probably itching. It's like a dog. If your dog doesn't go for a walk for like a week, the moment you let your dog out, they're going to flip out. It's just the way it is. But Richard says, my first European was 1968. I was in Barcelona in 99, but in recent years, I've been underwhelmed by European campaign. But after last night, I'm quietly hopeful. I would hope that you were hopeful after the second leg against Lyon, because that match was 100 times more exciting than last night's match. Last night's match was good. It was good to see us be that dominant, but that match against Lyon, that second leg, was literally everything we love about football. The way that you can go to so much lows and then get just dragged back on a high, like you're literally on a theme park ride for your heart. That is why if you were in a neutral, that was probably the best match of the season for you, honestly. But that's awesome, man. That's good. Good to see fans of a certain vintage on here, because I feel sometimes like, because I'm 39, so it's, I remember certain things, but I like having a variety of fans on here. I like having people from different eras talking to me. I mean, there's probably so much, like Richard, you should go check out the What If episode I did. The last episode of that first season of What If ended with George Best. I did an episode on George Best, and I said literally in that channel, there are fans, United fans, who are so lucky to have been able to watch George Best play in person. That's probably going to be one of my biggest regrets as a United fan. I was just not old enough to see him play in person, because Well, I've watched that 68 final on MUTV several times, and he was just untouchable. He's literally untouchable. Even when he's getting kicked all over the place, it never looked like he was ever going to be beaten ever. Yeah, he's such a good player, but big up, Richard, man. Wow, that's impressive, man. Danny says, proper legendary fan status. Yeah, Richard, proper legend, my guy. That's exciting. Maybe should I just give some memberships because of that? Because that's pretty cool. Let me give some memberships here, you guys. I'm going to do this real here. Send 5. I'm going to do 5 in honor of Richard just being an absolute legend in the chat. So boom, boom, boom. Let me throw those out there. Rajat got to give membership. Ciao. Everyone's jumping in. Muhammad Ali. Remember, I don't get to pick these. They just happen. So they're completely random. I wish I could choose a little bit, but I think YouTube doesn't want to give out favorites. But I am, in your honor, Richard, I am going to gift out 5 memberships. So big up. Richard says, he was incredible. Seen him play live for Club and Country, man. What an absolute legend. There's not a whole lot that happens for United's history without George Best. He's such a so big up, Richard, man. Big up. I know, man. I just saw that. I wish I could choose them. I don't. I can try to do a couple more because I don't think you only get like 5 per month, and I don't know if I can do 5 more. We'll see if we can get them here. But hopefully we can get Richard hooked up, man. Jay's got one. Flash Gordon's got one. Perlu. It's going to be like another one where he doesn't get one. No, he didn't get it. Sorry, man. I tried, but I don't get to decide, unfortunately. But Rob says it's random, but they'll get a notification. Then you have to, there's also what I remember too, is that you also have to activate it on your YouTube account. If you don't have memberships approved, if you don't have those gifting stuff approved, then you won't be able to get one. So it might be a case of maybe people in the chat who didn't get gifted. It might be a case that you haven't activated that on your own account. So I learned that one too after I looked into it. So not only are they random, but if you don't have it active, you don't get it. So, but Richard's a good sport, man. We love you, Richard. Pretty much. We're glad to have you here, man. Looking at individuals, I can't not start with Casemiro and Ugarte. How good were Casemiro and Ugarte last night? Casemiro was class, like literal class, rolling back the years. He's in the best form of his United career right now, Casemiro. I don't think anybody can argue that. He won the most duels in the match, 10 out of 12 duels. His goal was just perfectly taken. And you can see him locking and loading that header at the back post all day. When Maguire was staying up there, Casemiro knew exactly where he needed to be. Thank God Ugarte got that flick onto it. Casemiro, he was primed. His whole body was coiled like a spring, ready to put that in well before Maguire even put that ball in. I don't know why Bilbao couldn't see that he was at that back post, but you knew. I could see it. I kept saying to the TV, back post, and there he was. And that meant everything. He knew exactly where that was going. He knew what he needed to do. That's the kind of reading of the game that's why I want more experienced players as well. I like when you see it from guys like Collier. Collier has that kind of positioning sense as well, but we need that, like guys like Evans, Varane, Casemiro. These guys just know where to put themselves to make the best impact, whether it's on the ball, off the ball, in their own box. They know what to do, and we need to make sure that we have a healthy balance of that in the squad. I felt that header too in my body from here in Michigan. I felt it. He just knows what he needs to do. In so many moments, and he really showed his experience. 2 assists against Lyon as well. That goal last night. Ugarte, 2, impeccable. 2 assists last night for Ugarte. 2 chances created. 2 out of 2 dribbles. 1 out of 1 tackles. 5 of 7 duels. And his backheel flick for Bruno's late goal was absolute mustard. Like, I can't do anything better. That was brilliant from him. We've seen Ugarte do that a couple times though this season, getting involved high up the pitch when we're kind of moving and cycling the ball and we're kind of camped out in the opposition third. Ugarte tends to offer that kind of input. But that's a goal and assist over 2 legs for Ugarte against Lyon. 2 assists last night. Our midfield has been impeccable these last couple European matches. They've really given us a platform on which to build. They left me with very little to worry about last night. So I had to start with bigging up Casemiro and Ugarte. They were absolutely perfect. Big up, Richard. We're glad to have you, man. The channel is that much better now that you're a part of it. We're glad to have you here, man. Love it. Danny says Cass man of the match. Yeah, members, get your man of the match emojis in because you guys know you do have access to those emojis. But Cass was definitely my man of the match for sure. It's hard not to give it to Bruno, obviously, with a couple goals. But I think that without, and it sounds harsh to say this, I say the same thing about Messi sometimes. Without Xavi, without Iniesta, there's not Messi in some ways. Without Cass and Ugarte doing what they did last night, I don't think Bruno gets as many of those goals. But it is what it is. Harry Maguire, so good. Herodona, Harry Beckenbauer, whatever you want to call him, excellent work last night. His 1v1 work to create space on that right side to put in that cross was silky AF. I don't know how else to put it. Like, as Bruno said, like, no one knew that he could do that. The guy was dropping the shoulder. He was outside the foot net. The guy was pretty much perfect last night. 67 of 69 passes, 1 out of 1 crosses, 2 out of 2 long balls, interceptions, duels, etc., etc. Excellent match from Harry Maguire once again. On either side of him, I thought Euro and Lindelof, they did just fine. Lindelof, a little guilty sometimes of playing some bad balls, but again, pretty much most of us were early on. I thought Mazraoui, Dorgu did what they needed to do. Mazraoui did really good job. He won 100% of his tackles. He had the most tackles in the match too, Mazraoui. Sometimes you're going to have to be more back than wing. Sometimes you're going to be more wing than back in this system. It's just the way it's going to work. Away from home to a Spanish opposition in the tough Bilbao side, worry about preventing that goal first. And then, Mazraoui is so good at driving the ball forward that I don't worry about him too much. The only time I've seen Mazraoui worries me is when he's up against tricky, pacey attackers. He does tend to get left behind a little bit, but it is what it is. He did win 7 out of 10 duels. And he kept Nico Williams in check last night. So that was an important job. We were a little worried when Nico Williams was past fit because he can cause problems. He and Yamal pretty much ran the flanks in the Euros in the summer. So I'm glad that we were able to keep him in check. Dorgu, 2 out of 2 tackles, 8 of 13 duels. I'd still like to see him work on his crosses, Dorgu, but I'm not going to complain. He's 20 years old. He just joined in January. He's doing his job. Let's see what we got here. Oh, Danny says Cass man of the match for sure. Kai says Cass man of the match. Richard says, who'd have known that Harry Maguire was a world-class winger, right? I have no idea where that came from, personally. The guy was absolutely beast mode, man. Magaldini, yeah, I saw the Herodona post from Ahmad was brilliant. Rob says man of the match, Casemiro, yeah. Ugarte not being too greedy, going for goal was a class setup. Yeah, and that's what I like to see now. These players are being a little patient. They're being a little more pragmatic. They're seeing the bigger picture in some areas. We saw it from Højlund, his movement and things like even from Bruno last night. We're going to talk about Bruno again in a little bit, but just selfless play, smart play. And I say it many times, how many times I say on the channel, when you're defending a lead, final 10 minutes or so, what's my catchphrase? Make it boring. Cycle that ball. Put it back to the keeper. Keep it on the ground. Like, the Bilbao had to come and get something. We didn't have to do anything at that point. Like, I don't have a problem with making it boring. I don't like that early on in the match, but yeah. Magaldini is legit. That might be the chat of the night so far, but yeah, Dorgu, like Danny says, he covered a lot of ground. Dorgu, you can't argue that Dorgu's physicality is what we've been lacking in the squad. Now I'd like to see him develop, like I said, that final ball. I don't want to see him go the Dallo route where the final ball doesn't ever get developed. Now, he's only been here a little bit. He's still 20. I get it. But the crossing, the final ball from Dorgu is where I'd really like to. And he was guilty of holding onto the ball a little too much sometimes last night. A couple of our players were doing that, like pass and move. Garnacho does that a lot in terms of just holding onto the ball too long. We got to know when to move the ball. Mount did it again. Like, Rob says Harry had a moment of the match. Dude, he's got no business doing that, Maguire. Like, beating that guy, just sending that defender off, man. Shadiso Cabele, did I say that right? Welcome. He's got no understudy. Who are you talking about? Who's got no understudy? A lot of the players don't have an understudy right now. We've got injuries. We didn't make enough purchases. Like, Højlund's got no understudy right now. Garnacho really doesn't have an understudy right now. Who are we talking about, though? I need specifics. On Højlund, I thought Højlund looked good. As Amorim said, probably his best match. His build-up play is much better. He did a nice little heel flick to find Bruno. He won 5 out of 8 duels, won the penalty. Clear penalty as anybody has ever seen. I don't know why there are people, like, again, this is what I notice about these, like, these hate watch things from rivals. Like, he, like, people saying it's not a pen. Like, that's as clear as a pen you're ever going to see. Now, I thought the red card was a bit harsh, personally. I still laughed my ass off when it was shown, but I thought it was harsh. But it was a pen. He had his hands all over me, pulled him down. You can't do that. Now, like Bruno said, if he had gone for the ball, like with his feet, it would be a different story. But it was a pen all day. So I thought it was a bit unlucky for Garnacho to not get anything. He tried, he fought, he ran his socks off. He was doing a lot of that leg work. Sometimes, though, getting back to the pragmatism thing, it is more about the work you do for the team, the work you do to create for the team, the work you do to pull the opposition towards you, like what Højlund makes his runs in the box. It's more about the selfless, that kind of stuff, carrying the water for the team in some days, than it is about you scoring a goal. And that's just part of it. And Garnacho is going to have to learn that. As we talked about Mount, I thought he was a little overzealous, trying too hard. When you come on, we're 3-0 down. I get you want to contribute. I get you want to play. Just slow down, be smart, take care of the ball. So, you're talking about Dorgu? Yeah. It is unfortunate with injuries right now. There's not a whole lot of options. Mizraoui's looking like he's going to have to take a break on the weekend, according to Amorim. So with Dalot being injured, maybe that means we'll see Kamasen come on in the weekend, maybe Amas. If I had to bet, I'd probably say we're going to see Amas start in the weekend. Dorgu's probably going to go on the right side. We've seen that before too, but I wouldn't mind seeing Kamasen start personally. You guys know I'm a big fan of Kamasen. Richard says, I think if the referee had not, if given that red card, we would have shown a red card for the Garnacho incident. Yeah, I didn't get that. I've seen a lot of people claiming that was handball too. That's not handball on Garnacho. It's not handball when you're falling and the ball hits the plant arm, the arm that's basically like holding you up. That's not handball. That's the rule. But then again, we've also seen in Europe that the handball rule isn't really applied. Like when we conceded a handball in that first season against Sociedad, Licha, remember the ball came off his thigh, hit his arm, and they still gave it a pen. Like, who knows what the handball law is anymore? I couldn't tell you, but it was definitely not a handball on Garnacho. Danny says Montato or Kamasen would be great to see. I haven't seen Kamasen play in a minute. I want to see him get some minutes with the first team because I need to see that if he can do it. And I like this. I think that it would behoove Amorim to try to get more of a look at some of these youngsters in the first team and in the league to see. We could save some money if we don't have to get a right wing back. Well, Kamasen, I think, is good. He's older than Giovanni Kenda. He's looked amazing in the academy this season. Like, I don't see why we can't at least give him some minutes. If we're going to go after Kenda, why don't we just give Kamasen minutes? Especially now the league is done. Just do it. But, all right. You guys know this is where I jump into my 3 thoughts, so let's dive right in. Please make sure you hit that like button for me, subscribe. I want to hear your thoughts as I go through. Again, these aren't just limited. These are just some of my big talking points. So starting with number 1, we don't deserve Bruno. The guy was class again, like absolute class from our captain, from arguably one of the best midfielders in Europe since he joined United. 7 of 9 duels, 5 of 7 crosses, 3 out of 4 long balls, 4 shots, 3 out of 3 tackles won, 3 chances created, which was the most in the match. 2 goals, by the way. Did you watch the Spanish journalist argue with him afterward about the pen? The guy's also taking it upon himself to teach journalists the rules and the laws of the game too. Like, what a selfless captain we have. And I thought too, we were seeing some excellent growth from him late on in the match. Like, it's going back to the Mount point. We're 3-0 up away from home, first leg in Europe. It can be very easy to get excited, to get too enthusiastic, overzealous like Mason Mount was, and just do these long, crazy shots like we would have seen maybe Bruno do a couple years ago. But I thought he did a very good job late on to calm things down, to play the smart ball. There was one instance in particular when he had the ball, he was well outside the box. He beat his man, and he was central, and it looked like you would have expected him to take that long range shot. And for a second, it looked like he was winding up for it. But then he played the smart ball, kept possession, killed more time, calmed things down. That's game management. That's leadership. That's 2014 Super Bowl Seahawks beating the Broncos, killing the clock. That's how you beat the Broncos when Peyton Manning. You don't let him on the field. According to Statman Dave, Bruno now has the most goal involvements of any midfielder in Europe, 9 more than any other midfielder in Europe right now. And somehow there are football fans or even United fans who don't rate him. Like I said, we don't deserve him, the hate he gets, man. Richard says, that's the thing. The league is done. Let's play some kids and rest players for the Europa League. Yeah, There's a fine line though, right? Because you want to make sure your best players don't get rust. You want them to stay fit. So that's why I said earlier, give them like 20, 25 minutes here and there. I like to start strong in that second leg, and then maybe get another goal, maybe two at home, and then just throw on everybody. I wish that Cheeto could play in Europe. That would be better, but it is what it is. But Cheeto should probably start this weekend. Well, we're going to do that preview tomorrow, so be sure to come back tomorrow for that Brentford preview. Danny says, I was on the fence with Bruno at the start of the season. Boy, was I wrong. He proves the doubters wrong time and time again. You look at the numbers, you look at what he does. I know that, like, Roy Keane went on that epic rant. There are still people who will always point out him whining. Like, do people not remember Roy Keane going in on refs? People not remember Wayne Rooney going in on refs? People go in on refs. Players yell. That's part of it. He may not be the same exact type of captain as Roy Keane, but that doesn't mean he's not a good captain. Definitely doesn't mean he's not a good footballer, because he's like, look at the numbers. Chance creation, goal involvements. I mean, what else do people want? And this is how you spot an agenda, when people are just completely unwilling to look at anything that contradicts their initial opinion of something, despite the facts laid bare for everyone to see. That's agenda. That's bias. So it is really, really weird. But Bandomag, big up, man. Good to see you. It's been a minute. But yeah, we don't deserve Bruno. The guy is just absolute beast mode. So, but I like what I saw. Moving on. Number 2. Still kinks to iron out. So again, I try to do the sandwich, right? The good thing, the criticism, and then the other good thing. I wouldn't be doing my job, though. And you know that Amorim is doing the same. Any football manager worth their salt is doing the same. Even after a victory, you're always looking for ways to improve. You don't enjoy it for too long. Yes, we won, but it wasn't a flawless victory, in my opinion, by any stretch. We struggled early on against Bilbao's very intense energy. They're very high press. They're very physical play, especially in that midfield. We did find it difficult to hold on to the ball, to pick a pass. We looked a little shook. We were playing some really bad passes. We were giving the ball away. We were putting it out of touch time and time again under very little pressure, because it was like, it almost felt like we wanted too much time in the ball, some players, or like we weren't really looking when we were playing the ball. We were just trying to get rid of it because we were too afraid of getting bullied. And so we just kept giving away possession time and time again. It was very frustrating to watch. For a moment there, like I said, it looked like some of the players didn't want the ball because they were afraid of getting bullied off of it. This is just a lot of passes getting put all over the place. Very frustrating to watch. Still some kinks. I think with some players who are a little better on the ball, I think what not only does that mean individually they're going to handle that kind of stuff, but that's going to ease pressure off the rest of the squad. The rest, like we've talked many times on this channel about this phenomenon known as the O principle, where your flaws as a player, they are multiplied, not just stacked, because they ripple out and affect everybody around you, because all your teammates have to compensate. But if on the opposite thing can be true as well. If you're better on the ball, if you offer something more as a player, that can positively impact your teammates, because now they can have a little more reassurance. They can do what they need to do. They don't have to worry so much about picking up, where you're kind of leaving a hole. Like, it makes sense. And so I think with some players who are a little better on the ball, more time to implement this system, maybe a proper preseason, right, for Amorim, because he didn't get a preseason. He's barely had any training for like the first 2 months when he was here. I think we're going to see it, but I think with some players, they are probably not going to do a whole lot in terms of improvement. Some players are going to be losing, so we need to replace them with players who are a little more suited to the system, a little more balanced on and off the ball, and much better in possession and composed. So that did frustrate me, but I'm not going to nitpick about it too much. But you guys let me know if you saw the same thing, because that's just something that I saw early on that I'd like to maybe take a point out. Number 3, Spurs in the final, ? So you may have noticed that Bodo Glimt played at Spurs at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in their semifinal first leg. And that ended, I think, was that 3-2 or was that 3-1? I can't remember now off the top of my head. I got to go verify now, because I wrote 3-2, but I'm pretty sure it was 3-1. Yeah, it was. Where's my match at? Oh, yeah, 3-1. Sorry. You guys notice if you guys foot mob, sometimes it doesn't like refresh right away. So anyway, 3-1. I was really hoping that Bodo Glimt would at least get one more before time, but it didn't happen. Maybe we can hope that somehow Bodo turned things around at home in the second leg, but I think it's probably safe to bet on an all-English Europa League final. We haven't beaten Spurs, though, since October of 2022, so you have to think maybe hope, maybe the tide will eventually turn in our favor. Why not the final? That seems as good a time as any, right? Anything can happen in a final. It's a one-off. You never know. It is at Bilbao Stadium, which I think belongs to us now. That's our stadium now. We own it. We took it. It's the new Old Trafford. And hopefully by the time we get to a final, which is obviously a little less than a month away, hopefully by that time we'll have a full-strength squad as well. Ahmad got some minutes. Delit's back. Hopefully Heaven will be back. We'll see what happens. There's a chance maybe even Dalo could be back for that, but you never know. We'll have nothing else to play for, so it doesn't really matter. But then again, neither do Spurs. This is really Ange's job pretty much hinges on this final. I just hope we win because I don't want to be the reason Spurs get a first trophy in a long time. I don't want to be the reason Ange keeps his job. I want us to lift this. This has got to be our trophy almost to lose now when you look at the way we're playing right now in Europe. I don't want Spurs' first trophy in forever to come at our expense. We're going to cross that bridge when we get to it, though. We will see. You never know. We can still hope that Bodo do something at home, but it is a big ask, a big mountain to climb. Danny says, Dalo can stay injured. We're much better. Well, we don't want to wish injury upon anybody, but I do get what you mean. Dalo is just very hit or miss. He'll have, and I don't say hit or miss like he'll have a great match and he'll have a poor match. He has like good moments in matches, but then like overall his matches are not generally that great. He's just not great in 1v1s, Dalo. That final ball is garbage. But yeah, could be an all English final. So that would be awesome. Number 4, I got a bonus for you. Number 4 bonus. Ahmad is back. That is a bonus option. He may have only gotten 10 minutes, but I think as United fans, we can agree it was the best 10 minutes ever. Seriously, though. Ahmad came back after we thought his season was absolutely done. And he did very well in his cameo. Obviously, the sample size is small, but we can only look at what we did. 1 out of 1 dribbles, 1 out of 1 duels, 9 out of 9 passes. And he looked a threat every time he was on the ball. He was able to beat a man. He was able to keep possession. He was able to get the ball into the box. Instant. We've literally missed what he brings to this side. I can't looking at the difference he made on that wide position when he came on just for 10 minutes compared to what we had to deal with over the last few months without him. I think that it makes you remember just how badly we've missed him and what he offers to this side that no one else does. He just looked a threat. He looked like he hadn't missed a day of action either. We can't focus on what might have been, but look ahead, rejoice that Ahmad back, and just enjoy what he did. Richard says, I hope Angel is back. The young lad looks very steady since he came on. Angel, who? Ahmad? Lionheart says, oh man, all the people saying Spurs are going to beat us in the final. Let's use common sense here. I mean, it's Spurs in a cup final. There's no chance Spurs can beat us in the final. They did knock us out of the League Cup, and they've had our number for the last couple of years, unfortunately, but we will see what happens. Anything can happen in a final, like I said. You just never know. Shadiso says, I hope Frederiksen plays on Sunday. Range over type of player, just like Maguire. Yeah, I think that Frederiksen, when we played in that match where Amos and Frederiksen both started, I'd argue that Amos was man of the match almost in that match, and Frederiksen was a close second for me. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't know what our hoodoo is this season when it comes to our form in the Premier League, but there's no denying our performances in Europe. We're a different team in Europe. If we can move the new stadium out of Manchester, out of England, maybe we'll be a totally different team. Like I said, Bilbao is ours now. Maybe we'll just go take over their stadium. But this brings us to the second leg. I like to see us get an early goal, get up 4-0, and then give some of these kids a run out. I want to see what they can do. I think that'd be the perfect way to close out that second leg and go into the final, getting these kids, letting them do it in front of their home crowd. And we are still unbeaten in Europe. Thug life. Be sure to come back tomorrow for that Brentford preview, guys. We'll be there to do that. Go check out that scouting report special that I dropped on Wednesday, you guys. 6 players, 6 scouting reports, 6 new names to add to your watch list. I hope you guys check that out. The under-18s do play Stoke in a couple hours, so you can watch that as well. I think it might be on MUTV, but I don't know off the top of my head. So if you're able to, go watch that, support the youngsters. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Get your thoughts in if you weren't able to catch the live. Check out the memberships. In honor of Richard Hawkins and his legend status as a United fan, we did give 10 memberships. Sorry if you didn't get them. I don't have control over that, unfortunately. And then go check out the UVE store if you want to get your hands on some sweet stuff like this. The Xerxes 9.5 shirt that I'm wearing right now. Crank it up to 9.5. There are a lot of designs on there in hoodies, women's shirts, t-shirts. Go check them out. You did miss the 20% off that ended a couple days ago, but I appreciate everybody stopping by. Liner says, great show, son. Catch y'all tomorrow. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. I got to check the schedule and see what time, but I will be back tomorrow for that Brentford preview. So let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys, everyone. Richard, thank you for stopping by, man. Excellent to have you as part of the community. I'll see you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Talk to you soon. Bye.